Kethsura's frilled crest flared in frustration as her claws stabbed the transmit key, broadcasting the distress call across every compact frequency. Lysera to Galactic Compact Command. Carrack Raiders have tripled their blockade patrols in the last cycle. Food synthesizers are failing under strain. Civilian malnutrition at critical levels. Request immediate intervention. Repeat. Lysera requires protection now. The envoy's multifaceted eyes flicked to the holoscreen, where red blips swarmed the outer orbitals like predatory insects. Cutting off the refuge world's last supply threads, she slumped back in her station chair, the humid air of the bunker thick with the scent of overheated circuits and unwashed refugees. Lysera, a patchwork haven for a dozen displaced species, had begged for compact aid months ago. Now, with Carrack Dominion ships enforcing a stranglehold, Keth's reports painted a grim tally. Power grids flickering, water recyclers clogged, younglings wasting away. The compact silence gnawed at her. Bureaucratic debates in distant chambers, no fleets inbound. Her role as mediator felt hollow. Documentation wouldn't feed the starving. A chime pierced the tension. Incoming vessels, human registry. Keth's crest twitched in surprise. Humans? The upstart species from the Orion Arm? Known for merchant hauls and aid shuttles, not warships. Their flotilla was tiny. 3 corvettes, a pair of bulk freighters, and drone tenders. No match for the Carrack pickets. Commodore Mara Vance stood on the bridge of the UNS Reliant, her fingers tracing supply manifests on the tactical overlay. Helm, match velocities with the Lyseran approach vector. Ops, prioritize med packs and nutrient gels. Drops first, no entanglements. Her voice was steady, the logistics officer's calm honed from years corralling humanitarian convoys through pirate-infested voids. The flotilla's crews, lean, mixed platoons of engineers and medics, moved with quiet efficiency, loading drone swarms without a wasted motion. Mara's flaw tugged at her, caution bordering on hesitation. She'd authorized escalations before, but only after ironclad proof. War wasn't her trade. Saving lives through corridors and contracts was. Comms, hail the Carrack lead vessel. Propose neutral transit lanes for relief. Reference Compact Article 47 on refuge worlds. The response crackled back in guttural Carrack tones. Demands for tribute, sneers at traitor weaklings. She exhaled slowly. They'd test her. Fine. Supplies first. War Master Joran Kale's armored bulk shifted in the command throne of the Dominion cruiser Bloodfang, his tusked maw curling as he eyed the human signatures. Primitives daring our blockade. Dispatch Fang strikers. Harass their drone convoys. Lead them slow, see if the merchants flee. His strategist's mind reveled in the probe. Carrack doctrine favored swift terror, shattering wills before blades met. Humans, with their soft hulls and cargo bellies, should shatter easy. He'd researched them. Endless trade logs, no conquest history, weakness masquerading as patience. Carrack Fang fighters peeled off, plasma lances spitting at the human drone swarms shepherding medcrates toward Lysera's Atmo. Drones jinked, evading half the strikes but 3 crumpled in fireballs, payloads blooming into harmless vapor. Joran grunted approval. Push harder, no captures, just retreat them. On Lysera's surface, Staff Sergeant Elias Rook crouched behind a shattered hab block, his platoon fanning out to secure an evac staging zone amid the refugee sprawl. Eyes sharp, rules tight, no fire unless fired upon. Confirmed hostiles only, he murmured into his squad net, voice gravel rough from dust-choked air. Snipers had pinged them twice already. Carrack spotters in the hills. Potshots that drew blood but no pursuit. Private Lena Torres bandaging a grazed arm without flinching multitasked a perimeter scan while coordinating drone drops. Staging clear, Sarge. 200 civvies inbound. Mixed species. Got Keth's team flagging the frail ones. Elias nodded, his own mind juggling fire teams, casualty evac, and civvy herding. Infantry life. Endless adaptation, no complaints. A flaw haunted him. Doubt in command's restraint. The moral weight of holding fire while kids starved nearby. But orders were law. Escalation killed more than it saved. A sniper round whined past, splintering ferrocrete inches from his boot. Contact 11 o'clock, Elias barked. His team returned disciplined bursts. Tracers lancing precise, dropping the Carrack observer without overkill. Ceasefire. Confirm no movement. They pressed on, securing the zone as human drones hummed overhead. parachuting crates that thudded into the dirt. Refugees, scaled Vixari, feathered Silari, chitinous Groon, scrambled forward, claws and tendrils clutching rations. Kethsura arrived at the zone amid the chaos, her datapad capturing every frame. Humans hauling crates twice their mass, joking dryly with alien younglings to ease terror, ignoring their own minor wounds. "Sergeant Rook," she called, crest flattening in wary gratitude. "Your drones pierced the blockade, first supplies in weeks." Elias wiped sweat, offering a ration bar. "Won't last without corridors." Commodores negotiating. Her eyes widened at his casual endurance. Humans worked through Lysera's double grav pull without stim packs, patterns in their movements spotting sniper nests faster than her scans. Cultural gap. Karak valued dominance displays. Humans bonded packs seamlessly, reading refugee panic cues her people missed. Back in orbit, the Compact Committee's hololink flickered on Keth's pad. Endless debate. Lysera's plight noted, droned a Vexari delegate. Karak claims expand further. Intervention vote pending subcommittees. Days, maybe cycles. Keth's vents hissed exasperation. Shortages mount, 70% power loss, child mortality spiking. Silence. She cut the link, turning to Rook's platoon. "Humans were here. Now. I must document reliance on your aid." Compact observes. Elias shouldered his rifle, helping a Groon elder onto an evac shuttle. "Document away, envoy. We're just doing the job." But inside, controlled fury simmered. Not rage, but the grim tally of empty bellies and sniper scars. His platoon multitasked flawlessly. Torres jury-rigging a water purifier from drone scrap. Corporal Hale pattern-spotting Karak patrol loops to predict safe windows. Aliens stared, Keth's crest rippling in unvoiced awe. Commodore Vance watched the strikes tally on Reliance Bridge. 5 drones lost. Corridors probed but holding. Joran's harassment nipped but didn't commit. Authenticating atrocity vids from Lysera. Her intel officer reported. Sniper kills confirmed. No mass events yet. Mara nodded, authorizing the next push. Launch limited escort. 2 corvettes. Drone screens. Keep 1 corridor open to the main Habdome. Accept attrition. No counterstrikes beyond defense. The escorts burned in, human pilots adapting Karak weave patterns on the fly, drones sacrificing in creative swarms to shield the path. Karak Fang fighters scored hits. Reliance sister ship Endurance venting atmo, 6 crew lost, but the corridor punched through. Crates rained down, refugees flowing out. Joran Kale snarled at his screens, tusks grinding. Humans hadn't retreated. Their losses? Accepted like routine maintenance. No panic broadcasts, no pleas. He'd ordered deeper probes, expecting collapse. Instead, they innovated. Drones linking into ad hoc shields, escorts multitasking offense and resupply. Primitives hold. His aides exchanged glances. Karak prided endurance in battle frenzy, but humans persisted quietly, without glory roars. Keth, planetside, recorded a Solari matriarch embracing a human medic, tears mixing with nutrient paste. "They do not break," she transmitted to compact channels, her own prejudice cracking. Humans, traitors, yes, but their normal resilience outlasted Karak probes. Rook's platoon, bloodied but unbowed, formed a human chain to load the last shuttle. Elias spotting a pattern in the fading sniper fire. Karak pulling back. Vance's voice cut through the net. Corridor secured for 6 hours. Cycle 2 underway. Steady. Casualties mounted. Early accepted. Mara felt the cost in her gut, but restraint held. Escalation waited for proof. Joran leaned forward, ordering a full Fang squadron. Test deeper. But doubt flickered. Humans planned theaters like he planned strikes, humble hulls hiding steel spines. Keth's final log. Compact hesitates. Only ships moving toward danger fly human colors. Her crest rose, a spark of respect igniting. Perhaps the galaxy's oversight was its error. Commodore Mara Vance stared at the holographic display, her fingers tracing the projected grid of Karak picket lines. "This is Commodore Vance, UN Expeditionary Command. We propose a monitored demilitarized zone along the Lysera approach vector. Compact observers embedded, real-time feeds from both sides. Prisoner exchanges start at 060 standard. We'll release your captured raiders unharmed if you reciprocate. Transparency builds ceasefires." Your move, War Master Kale. The bridge crew held breath, stations humming with restrained urgency. Vance's logistics feed scrolled beside her. Fuel tallies for escort barges, evac manifests for 40,000 refugees, still bottlenecked in orbit. She'd juggled these threads since the first atrocity reports, rerouting supplies from 3 sectors, cross-checking alien manifests against human scans. No panic, just the grind of keeping lanes open amid the Karuk noose. War Master Joran Kale's response crackled back on open band, his gravelly voice laced with chitinous clicks. Human soft skins offer scraps to sate the weak. Your zone is surrender dressed as mercy. The Sara kneels or burns. He cut the feed, his flagship silhouette swelling on tactical as orders pulsed out. Board the fat barge, refugee vessel Epsilon 9, human marked. Punitive action. No survivors to clog our advance. Kale's bridge thrummed with approval rasps from his sub-commanders, their armored forms shifting in anticipation. Humans had danced restraint since the mass executions. This was the fracture. Fear won wars fast, break the escorts, scatter the herd. His analysts nodded at projections. Refugee panic would cascade, compact ditherers frozen by procedure. Aboard the battered refugee barge, klaxons wailed as Karak breacher pods latched like parasites. Staff Sergeant Elias Rook braced in the zero corridor. Mag boots clamped, his squad fanned behind. Delta Team. Breach, seals on my mark. Priority evac compartments 3 and 7. Doc, you're on triage multitask. Pull vitals while we clear. The barge shuddered. Explosive decompression ripping through bulkheads. Shrapnel sleeted past. A jagged storm. Rook launched forward, rifle barking precise bursts into the Karak borders. 3 down before they could cycle air. His platoon moved like a single organism. Private Lena Torres juggling breather masks and patch kits, slapping seals on flailing refugees while covering Lance Corporal Ruiz. 0G was their element. Hours of sims turning chaos into rhythm. A Kara cutter slashed Ruiz's harness. Rook yanked him back mid-spin, but the next volley caught Torres square, shredding her suit. She spun limp, crimson blooming in the void. Lost Torres. Ruiz, you're on point. Rook's voice cracked steady. He hauled a cluster of alien younglings, tentacled Cathari, their crests limp, from a crumpling hatch, passing them to waiting hands. Endurance burned in his limbs. They'd drilled 1-8-hour shifts without a whimper, bodies adapting where others flagged. Shrapnel nicked his thigh, but he ignored the sear, pattern spotting the border's reload cycle to drop 2 more. By the time the last Karak pod detached, his team had 187 survivors clamped into the assault shuttle, minus Torres and Ruiz, whose suits they'd never repressurize. Rook sealed the ramp, the shuttle's thrusters flaring toward Vance's carrier group. Elias Rook reporting, barge secured but we paid for it. 2 down. His hands shook as he logged casualty tags, the weight settling, not rage, but the cold math of war's toll. On Lysera's surface, Envoy Keth Sura's manipulator crests quivered as she synced feeds from the rescue drone. The human shuttle docked amid the sprawl of tent cities, medics already swarming the hatch. Keth's datapad overflowed. Rook's body cam verified the carnage, depressurized holds slick with fluids, Karak breacher logs boasting cull complete. She'd cross-referenced it against barge manifests, 212 souls targeted. Unarmed. This is Envoy Keth Sura. Compact Liaison Lysera. Verified evidence packet uploading to all channels. Karak punitive boarding of neutral refugee vessel under human escort. Casualties include human military and civilian non-combatants. Her transmission spiked across galactic nets, timestamps ironclad, but replies trickled procedural, under review by Security Subcommittee. Await quorum vote. Escalation protocols pending. Keth's crest flattened in frustration, then rose fractionally. Humans hadn't lashed back, yet their ground team pulled miracles from vacuum. She flagged the packet for her own archives, noting Rook's post-mission log. No boasts, just secured the line. Compact power stalled, but human hulls pressed on. Aboard the UN carrier Resolute, Vance watched the ECM drone swarm deploy from her ventral bays. Ghost-silent probes, scattering into the Karak net. Launch pattern Alpha 2, passive sniff only. Map their command relays, no emissions. Her staff officer blinked. Commodore, we could spike their C2 now. Payback for the barge. Vance shook her head, eyes on the unfolding grid. Intel first. We outplanned them by knowing their moves. She'd multitasked this for days, decoding Karak burst patterns from captured signals, adapting human algos on the fly. The drones bloomed data, Kale's fleet vectors shifting, traffic spiking toward Lysera orbitals. No retaliation bursts from her side. Restraint was the blade's edge. Her crews rotated seamlessly, 20-hour watches blending into 24 without morale dips. Human normalcy, aliens would call endurance myth. Kale's command deck lit with redirected orders, his mandibles grinding satisfaction. Human probes ghosted his perimeter, timid probes, not fangs. Surface phase, vector all lances to Lysara settlements. Orbital demonstrations, then ground demonstrations. Break their will, refugees will flood out. His stratagems projected shatter points, tent sprawls, power grids. Fear's geometry was simple. Restraint signaled fracture. Subcommanders rasped ascent, repositioning for the hammer. Vance's display pinged the shift, XM ghosts confirming the pivot. They're going dirt side. Alert ground teams. Hold evac lanes. Her voice stayed level, the controlled burn of resolve. Rook's platoon would rotate back in 90 minutes, bloodied but intact. Losses tallied, 2 more names etched. But the map clarified. Karak chased morale shadows while she built the noose. Keth monitored from her outpost, feeds showing Karak shadows lengthening over settlements. Human drones hummed overhead, not striking, mapping. Her crest sparked higher. Restraint as strategy, not surrender. Compact channels droned delays, but human lights burned steady toward the storm. Perhaps the galaxy's pause was the Karak's grave misstep. Warmaster Kyle leaned into his throne, the surface assault primed. Humans blinked. Victory loomed. Warmaster Joran Kale's claws tightened on the armrests as the feed from the Lysara school shelter filled his command vault. Karak shock troops poured through the shattered entryway, plasma lances humming, their voxcasters blaring surrender demands in fractured galactic standard. A cluster of Lysaran civilians, feathered educators clutching wide-eyed fledglings, huddled in the central atrium, the broadcast drone hovering to capture every plea. Execute, Kale growled, his voice a low rumble through the chamber. No delays, break their will. The lead Karak sergeant raised his lance without hesitation. Bolts seared the air, feathers igniting in bursts of ash. Screams cut short as children toppled, tiny forms crumpling amid the desks. The feed lingered on a final educator shielding 2 survivors before a headshot silenced her. Kale's mandibles clicked in satisfaction. Humans had hesitated at the perimeter. This would shatter any 8 illusions. Victory loomed. Staff Sergeant Elias Rook crested the ridge overlooking the complex, his squad's boots crunching frost-laced gravel. The broadcast drone signal had jammed their comms mid-approach, but the gunfire echoes told the story. Eyes sharp, Rook murmured into his helmet mic, pulse rifle leveled. Private Lena Torres flanked left, her scanner pinging heat signatures, fading clusters inside. Corporal Amit Singh covered right, drone countermeasures primed. They were 2 minutes out when the executions flashed live on Rook's HUD relay. A Lyssaran child, no taller than his knee, staggered forward, wings splayed in terror. The Karak lance fired point blank. Rook's gut clenched, but his voice stayed level. Hostiles confirmed.
Survivors priority. Move.
The squad bounded down the slope, suppressive fire stitching the breached walls. Karak patrols wheeled, returning bursts that scorched Rook's pauldron. He rolled behind a toppled pillar, Torres laying down covering micro-missiles. Singh multitasked, firing one-handed while hacking the drone feed to loop false static. 10 civvies holding in subwing B, Singh reported, breath steady despite the sprint. Karak pulling back to consolidate. Rook nodded, sighting a Karak heavy advancing on the east door. One shot, center mass, the brute dropped. Torres, breach and extract. Singh, overwatch. No heroes. They pushed in, acrid smoke-stinging eyes, the metallic tang of blood thick. Lysarans whimpered from barricades, 5 adults, 3 fledglings, wings trembling. Rook knelt by the nearest, voice calm through the translator. We're evac.
Can you move?
A teacher nodded, scooping a dazed youngling. Under sporadic fire, the squad herded them out, Rook juggling rifle, med scans, and pathfinding. A Karak sniper clipped Singh's leg mid-carry. The corporal grunted, tied off the bleeder one-handed, and kept pace. They cleared the kill box, loading survivors into the armored shuttle as rotors spun. Rook lingered last, scanning for stragglers amid the charnel quiet. Too late for most, but not all. Envoy Kethsura's tendrils quivered as she sealed the evidence vault in the refuge command bunker. The massacre feed looped on her console. Time-stamped, geo-locked, chain of custody notarized by 3 compact witnesses, herself included. Karok arrogance, broadcasting their slaughter like a trophy. Lycerans outside pressed against viewports, keening softly. But Keth's focus held. Her species, the Volari, prized precision. This record would be ironclad. She activated the hyperburst transmitter, packets rocketing to every compact node. Atrocity confirmed. Lycera shelter, 7. Civilian execution, including minors. Visual, biometric, unchallenged provenance. Request immediate adjudication. Replies pinged, neutral at first, then urgent. Keth's chromatophores flushed deeper blue, a rare surge of vindication. Humans had responded when others debated. Now the galaxy would see why. Commodore Mara Vance stood at the hollow table in the UN flotilla's flag bridge, the massacre feed projected in stark relief. Her escalation council assembled virtually. JAG officers, intel chiefs, allied liaison reps, Keth's face prominent among them. Vance's uniform hung crisp, but fatigue shadowed her eyes from 48 hours without sleep. Logistics first, always. Emotion, second. Record shows deliberate targeting, she stated, voice measured. No tactical value, verified by Envoy Sura. Murmurs rippled, a JAG captain nodded. Lawful escalation authorized under Compact Protocol 19's gun. This. Civilian centers excluded. Rules of engagement hold. No reprisals, the council affirmed. Seals clicking into place. Vance leaned forward, plotting overlays. Mobilize reserves. Hidden yards at Sol or Luna Prime. Full output. Rationing effective immediately. Her mind raced. Supply chains rerouting. Carrier groups spinning up. Costly, yes. Families rationing protein packs. Factories idling consumer lines, but necessary. She keyed the all-fleet broadcast. Posture shift. Total war. Disciplined. Decisive. We end this capacity, not their people. War Master Kael's ambush grids lit green across the theater hollow. Human shuttles scattered from the shelter site. Predictable panic. Rash counterattack incoming. He predicted to his sub-commanders, mandibles flexing. They avenge hot. Battle to battle, no depth. Prime kill zones at vectors 7 through 12. Lure and crush. His stratagems layered. Feints at refugee corridors. Heavies massed in choke points. Humans blinked at the school. They'd charge now, fury blind. Kael's spines relaxed fractionally. Thier won quick wars. His probes reported no grand maneuvers, just evac clusters. Perfect. On New Damascus, a human colony forge world. Mobilization klaxons wailed. Foreman Raul Mendez wiped sweat from his brow, staring at the priority slate. Consumer drone lines halted. Battle steel poured instead. Shift crews, he barked to his team, voice gravelly from night shifts. Wives messaged ration cuts. Hydroponics trimmed 20%. Mendez multitasked, reallocating power grids while briefing green conscripts. Humans adapt, he muttered, spotting a flaw in the alloy mix, tweaking on the fly. Across the yards, hulls berthed. Carriers. Not haulers. Costs bit. The welder's kid homesick, no extra meds. But the line moved. Vance's orders cascaded. Reserve formations activated. Sleeping legions on Mars bases. Crews drilling from cryo-sleep. A young spacer, Ensign Kira Hale, shouldered her kit. Family hollow clutched tight. Ration bars tasted like dust, but she logged sim runs. Pattern-matching Karok weak points others missed. Endurance kicked in. 36 hours to orbit, no complaints. Kethsura watched the feeds converge in her bunker. Human yards blooming signatures, flotilla vectors tightening, not rash lunges, but a noose. Her tendrils stilled in calculation. Karok broadcasts crowed victory. Humans shifted. No rage vox, just quiet production spikes. She queried compact archives, human history, humanitarian fleets turning to steel tides after thresholds. Underestimated. Again, Rook's shuttle banked hard. Survivors stabilized in the bay. Singh's leg throbbed, but he cross-checked nav data. bonding with the Lyceran fledgling via crude gestures, thumbs up, shared ration. The youngling's wings eased. Rook stared at the fading shelter plume. Controlled fury simmered. Not vengeance, but resolve. Vance's Total War ping arrived mid-flight. Understood, he replied. Platoon shifted gears, aid to annihilation, disciplined. Kale's throne feed glitched as probes vanished. Human signatures multiplied. Not assaults, but shadows encircling his forges. Impossible, he snarled. Regroup lines. But the humans didn't blink this time. They planned. Vance exhaled. Hollow updating. First strikes greenlit. Human capability wasn't flash. It was the grind, the pivot without breaking. Costs mounted, but so did the edge. The galaxy would learn. Vance's finger hovered over the execute glyph for a split second, then pressed. All units. Campaign Phase 1. Green, across the board, hit their throats. Logistics first. The flag bridge thrummed with quiet efficiency. Holo displays bloomed into a web of vectors. Carrack supply convoys threading through asteroid belts. Comm relay sats blinking like nervous eyes. Fuel depots orbiting forgotten moons. Her plan wasn't a sledgehammer, it was a scalpel carving arteries. Target the hubs feeding Joran Kale's advance. Starve his claws before they could close on the refuge worlds. Junior officers cross-checked firing solutions. Signals teams ghosted into enemy nets. Human cyber ops already burrowing like termites. Commodore, Lieutenant Hale murmured from her station, eyes flicking between 3 feeds. Routing keys acquired. Their fleet transponders are ours. Patterns locked. Next convoy jumps in 12. Vance nodded, jaw set. She'd planned humanitarian lanes for years. This was the flip side, lawful erosion of an aggressor's reach. No mercy for atrocities, but no descent into them. Costs would bite, ships lost, crews strained, but the edge sharpened with every pivot. Far across the void, Staff Sergeant Elias Rook gripped the drop pod's harness as it plummeted toward Karo Savord's dust-choked surface. 2 mics to dirt, Reyes, you good on the demo charges? Patel, eyes on that mass driver turret. His platoon, 8 souls, stripped to essentials, murmured affirmatives. The planetary mass driver loomed below, a kilometer-long rail spitting kinetic slugs at evac columns snaking toward orbit. One more barrage, and thousands of non-human refugees vaporized. Rook's mind cataloged the op. Infiltrate the base perimeter, overload the power couplings, cover the columns sprint to pickup. Simple on paper, dirt made liars of plans. The pod slammed dirt, hatches blasting open. Rook rolled out, rifle up, boots crunching regolith. Fan out. Suppressors only till we're in. They moved like a single organism, Rook juggling squad positions, drone feeds, and evac timings in his HUD. Human multitasking wasn't magic, it was drilled reflex, spotting patterns in enemy patrols that alien allies often missed. Laser fire cracked from guard towers. Rook dropped a Karok sentry with controlled bursts, professional, not fury, while Reyes slapped charges on the primary capacitor. Evac columns pinned, Sarge. 30 seconds, Patel yelled over comms. Hostiles flanking, 3 tangos. Rook pivoted, laying cover as his team hauled ass. A grenade bloom lit the night, shrapnel pinged off armor. They reached the core axis, Reyes keying the overload. The mass driver whined, then erupted in a cascade of sparks, rail bending like a broken spine. Columns moving, good copy. Rook's voice stayed level, but as they exfiltrated, a Karok ambush pinned them. Patel went down, leg mangled. Cover him, Rook roared, hauling his comrade fireman style, endurance kicking in. No complaint, just pushed through the burn in his shoulders, lungs screaming but ignored. Patel gasped. Sarge, leave. Shut it. Rook dumped him at the pickup zone, medevac drone swooping in, but Karok grapples snagged Patel midlift, yanking him into the dark. Rook's burst shredded too, but the bird was gone. Loss hit like a gut punch. Close as brothers, now Karok captive. He clenched teeth, signaling abort. Evac column safe, but the cost carved deep. Discipline held, rage didn't. War Master Joran Kale's command nexus shuddered as alerts screamed, "What in the voids?" He slammed a talon on the console, frills flaring in fury. Hollow swarms showed chaos. Logistics hub at Epsilon Relay gutted by pinpoint orbital lances. Fuel depot convoys vanishing into intercept ambushes, his mass driver on Karos IV silenced mid-salvo. Report, Kale bellowed. Subordinate Karak hunched, mandibles clicking. War Master, enemy cyber breach. Our jumps are lit up like beacons. Ground raids synced with drones, and strikes impossible coordination. Kale's mind raced, claws scoring the deck. Humans? Those soft-shelled pacifists? Late to the feast? He'd dismissed their aid ships as bleeding weakness. Now this. Multi-domain knife fight. Every Talon parried before it struck. Orbital fires blooming exactly when ground teams hit. Drones seeding chaos in perfect rhythm. No panic yet. He was Karak, fear his weapon. But reallocations burned fuel he couldn't spare. Pivot defenses to core worlds. Double patrols on all relays. They bleed slow, we end it fast. His strategist pinged data. Human signals teams had cracked routing keys in hours, turning his fleets into penned grazers, patterns predicted. Intercepted. Kale growled low. Restraint wasn't frailty. It was a mask for this. Grind. Envoy Keth Sura's tendrils quivered as she guided the refugee cluster, scaled Valerie, feathered Sylphie, chitinous miners, up the human hospital ship's ramp. Steady, friends. The humans honor compact law. Her voice, melodic through the translator, masked the tremor. Karak slavers had culled nests. These survivors clutched younglings, eyes wide at the sterile bays unfolding. Human medics in crisp void suits waved them in, triaging without pause. A wounded Karak, POW, limbs bound, but med gel already sealing his gashes, lay on a neighboring slab. No discrimination, a human corpsman said flatly to Keth, scanning vitals on 3 patients at once. Wounded get treatment, period. Keth's optic clusters dilated. Karak treated captives as chattel. Humans logged them for Geneva-equivalent trials, even mid-war. She noted it for her dispatches. Compact archives hungry for proof of this anomaly. Refugees settled into bunks, humans multitasking. One corpsman adjusted IVs while briefing psych support, another bonded quick rapport with a Sylphie fledgling via improvised gestures, crossing species gaps with easy empathy. A Valari matriarch grasped Keth's frond. They fight for us? Without hate? Keth nodded slowly, watching a human officer log prisoner data with the same care as civilian manifests, cultural chasm bridging, one act at a time. Her own respect stirred. Humans weren't saviors, they were professionals, resilient where others frayed. Back on the flag, Vance's bridge hummed as fire requests flooded in. Captain Ruiz's voice cut sharp. Commodore, ground teams report heavy pushback. Recommend saturation on their forward depot. Flatten it. She studied the hollow. Karak lines thickening. Kale, reallocating. Indiscriminate barrage would break them fast. Rack kills. Tempting, after the mass graves, but her voice stayed iron. Negative, Captain. Precision only. Targeting arrays. Ammo bunkers. No civilian grids, no overkill. We collapse them lawful. Hale glanced up, surprise flickering before duty snapped it down. Aye, ma'am. Solutions updating. Strikes lanced out, lances threading needles through defenses, depots blooming silent fireballs, enemy losses mounting without the moral rot of area denial. Campaign accelerated, Karak reach shrinking, convoys starved, fleets herded into traps. Vance exhaled, tally ticking. Human hulls cracked, rooks raid down a man. Costs ground deep, but the pivot held. Call's quick fear crumbled against sustained edge. Peacefulness, a choice, shed when lines crossed. The galaxy, watching through Keth's feeds, would tally the lesson. Kyle stared at the latest. Another relay dark, interceptors gutting his vanguard. Humans didn't rage. They planned, endured, outproduced. Panic edged his frills. Reallocations faltered. The noose tightened. What had he unleashed? Commodore Mara Vance leaned into the holotank's glow, her fingers tracing the faint's arc. Task Force dagger. Initiate burn to Lysera orbit. Full EM signature. Make them think we're committing the hammer. Her voice was steady steel, no flourish, as bridge crew snapped acknowledgements. Alarms chirped. Drives thrummed. The real blade, 3 carrier groups in their wolf packs, slipped dark toward Nereth Gate, cutting the Dominion's supply spine without a whisper. Warmaster Joran Kale's frills flared crimson in his command vault, optics locked on the incoming human signatures. Lysara loomed in their path, his bait accepted. They bite, he growled to his aides, spines rattling with anticipation. Fleet Prime collapse the trap. Envelop and pulverize. Orders cascaded. His armada surged from ambush vectors, plasma lances charging. Humans had danced too long. Now they'd shatter. But Vance watched it unfold from Nereth's shadow, her main force already threading the junction's relay lanes. Karak pickets vaporized under silent missile swarms, their wreckage blooming like false stars. Spine cutters report. Primary convoy interdicted, fuelers burning. Her logistics chief, Lieutenant Hale, nodded grimly beside her, sweat beading despite the chill. They'd planned for this, triple-shifted fab plants back home churning drones. Humans pulling 18-hour sims without a gripe. Gate defenses lighting up, ma'am. Kale's shifting reserves. Kale's triumph curdled as reports flooded in. Nereth Gate, his logistics heart, screamed alerts. Human shadows everywhere, not the crude thrust he'd baited. Impossible, he hissed, frills inverting to bruised violet. Intercepts gutted his vanguard. Tankers ruptured, spilling volatiles into the void. No rage from the humans, just methodical excision. His trap at Lysara closed on ghosts. Aboard the Resolute, Staff Sergeant Elias Rook braced in the breacher pod, mag boots locked as it slammed into the Karak carrier's hull. Alarms wailed through the breach foam. His platoon, 8 souls, faces grim under breather masks, stacked behind him, blue on green, eyes sharp, captives first, no souvenirs. The carrier listed, engines cold from Vance's ambush salvos, but Karak border still prowled its bays. Rook kicked the hatch, shotgun barking suppressed rounds into the gloom. Karak warriors lunged, spiked limbs whirring, but his team flowed like water. Private Lena multitasking drone feeds and vitals while covering flanks. Corporal Tate pattern reading the enemy's patrol loops from a single glance at deck schematics. They cleared corridors in controlled bursts, humans enduring the acrid smoke that choked alien lungs. Contact left. 2 tangos. Rook dropped one with a precise torso hit, the other crumpling to Lena's flechette storm. Deeper in, they found the cage. 24 humans and a clutch of neutral refugees. Karak blades at their throats. "Stand down or we paint the bulkheads," Rook broadcast in crisp Karak pidgin, learned overnight from captured slates. The guards hesitated. Humans weren't supposed to board and bargain. Rook's team held fire, breath steady despite the pounding hearts. Extraction over sabotage. Vance's standing order. Leave the ship intact for intel, not vengeance. The captor's optics widened at the restraint. One lowered its blade first. Back on his flagship, Kale's claws gouged the console. Nereth hemorrhaged, depots slagged, convoys adrift. "Go, scorch it all," he snarled to his fractured staff. "Logistics chains, torch what we can't hold. And the hostages. Execute half. Broadcast it, force their hand." Dissent rippled. Sub-Commander Vreck's spines drooped. "Warmaster, this invites their full wrath. Our poles fracture already." Kale's glare silenced him, but the doubt lingered, frills quivering. Fear won wars, or so he'd believed. Envoy Keth Sura's broadcast relay hummed in the refuge world's command bunker, her multifaceted eyes fixed on the feeds. Human task groups danced through Kale's trap, adapting mid-battle, line volleys dissolving into distributed ambushes, missiles ghosting from debris fields. Aliens would never improvise. No scorched reprisals, even as Karak blades fell on captives. "Galactic compact," she intoned, voice steady across neutral nets. "Witness, humanity adheres to prohibitions. No war crimes despite provocation. Their losses mount, yet discipline holds." Replies trickled, then flooded. Neutral systems, Villari yards, Torch repair docks, opened bays, basing granted. One envoy pulsed. "Your restraint intrigues." Keth's mandibles clicked softly. She dismissed humans as soft logisticians. Their endurance in the gate grind, juggling fire control and resupply mid-firefight, it defied models. Karak panicked. Humans planned. The gate fight dragged into hours, then days. Rook's platoon rotated back to Resolute, medbay overflowing. Lena stitched her own gash while plotting next drops. Tate shared ration packs with rescued aliens, joking about Karak hospitality and broken gestures that eased their tremors. Losses bit deep. 6 gone in the boarding. Another platoon mauled at the junction. Vance felt each tally in her gut, but her voice never cracked. Resupply vectors holding. Press the choke. Kale's vault reeked of stress pheromones, aids averting optics. Fuel dipped critical. Munitions bays echoed empty. Reinforcements? Stalled by human interdictions, their factories outpaced only by human fabs that churned without pause. No glorious clash. Just attrition, his empire's sinews severed. They're not fighting to win the battle, he rasped. Frills limp. Panic crested fully now. Humans dismantled the ability to fight. Piece by relentless piece. Vance straightened from the holotank as Nareth fell silent. Her crews weary but unbowed. Date secured. Spine cut. Prepare Phase 2. Hale exhaled, rubbing bloodshot eyes. We've got them, ma'am, but the cost. She nodded, jaw tight. Discipline held, but war's toll etched every face. Still, the noose tightened, not with fury but inexorable will. Warmaster Joran Kale's hologram flickered into the command tent, his scaled face a mask of calculated restraint, intermediaries' icons hovering like wary sentinels on the flanks. Commodore Vance, he rumbled, voice gravel over steel. The Dominion offers terms. Partial withdrawal from outer sectors, safe passage for your relief convoys. End this misunderstanding before more blood soils the void. Mara Vance stood unmoving before the holotank, her crew's eyes heavy-lidded from 16-hour shifts, the air thick with recycled sweat and coolant hum. She let the silence stretch, fingers stippled over the Phase 2 schematics, blockade webs tightening like veins around a dying heart. Nareth, her ops chief, shot her a sidelong glance, blood crusted on his temple from a shrapnel graze 2 days back. Hale murmured from the console. Intermediaries are Carrick proxies. Stalling tactic. Understood, Warmaster, Vance replied finally, her tone even. Professional as a surgeon's scalpel. Partial withdrawal buys nothing. Surrender the war crimes suspects. Atrocity logs verified. Timestamps irrefutable. Dismantle your raiding nests on Epsilon Relay and the Fringe Moons. Only then do we discuss safe passage. Kale's frills twitched, a microsecond of irritation before his intermediaries chimed in with bluster about sovereign rights. She cut the feed. Tighten the noose. Divert the auxiliary pickets to full spectrum scan. No gaps. The refusal rippled outward like a pressure wave. In the dim-lit bowels of the indomitable Psyops Bay, Lieutenant Rao patched the feeds. Grainy drone footage of mass graves on the refuge world. Children's silhouettes amid the pyres. Cross-referenced with tribunal warrants scrolling in 6 alien scripts. Broadcast on all auxiliary channels, she ordered, her voice steady despite the quiver in her hands from caffeine and grief. Neutral tones, facts only. The compact will prosecute. Defect now, testify later. Drones hummed out, slipping past jittery Dominion patrols, seeding the net with evidence that burned hotter than plasma aboard a Carrick auxiliary frigate. Sub-Commander Veth's claws scraped his console as the human PSYOP packet bloomed across his screens. Impossible, he hissed to his bridge crew, a mix of Dominion conscripts and reluctant vassals. They documented the executions in real time. His second, avian lyrics with feathers molting from stress, tilted her head. Warmaster said humans break under pressure. This is law-made weapon, whispers spread. By shift's end, 3 frigates peeled off formation, transponders flipping to neutral. On the refuge world's scarred surface, Staff Sergeant Elias Rook crouched in the 8 Enclave's perimeter trench, mud caking his fatigues, the squad's medkit half empty after yesterday's probe. Eyes sharp, he growled into the comm, juggling thermal scans on one wrist pad while coordinating drone overwatch on another. Private Lena Torres patched a gash on Corporal Hale's. Wait. No. Hale was up flag. Kid named Ruiz. Shoulder. Her hand steady as she knotted the field dressing. Sarge. Civvy chatter spiking. Something inbound. Alarms wailed. Rook's scope caught the shadows first. 10 Dominion raiders in stealth pods, dumping into the Enclave's heart, last bolts chewing through prefab walls toward the huddled non-human refugees. Keth Sura's voice crackled over open channel, the mediator's elongated vowels taut with fear. Sergeant Rook, terror strike. They target the younglings. Platoon, non-lethal where you can. Take 'em, breathing. Rook surged up, barking fire teams into motion while slinging suppression fire that pinned the lead pod. Ruiz flanked left, Torres right, their boots pounding Duracrete slick with rain. A raider burst from cover, claws raking. Rook sidestepped, Baden cracking carapace without killing. Zip cuff snapping shut, bolts scorched his pauldron, pain flared, hot and distant. And Ruiz took a leg wound, crumpling with a grunt but lobbing a stun grenade that felled 2 more. They dragged the last pair from the rubble alive, enclave intact save for shattered crates and 3 human sprains. Keth emerged from the bunker, his bioluminescent skin pulsing erratically, eyes wide on the bound attackers. You captured them. Amid chaos. No executions. Rook wiped blood from his lip, helping Ruiz limp to evac. Lawful process envoy. They face tribunal, not us. Keth's tendrils quivered. Amazement. Not dismissal now. Your warriors endure wounds without falter. Multitask fire and restraint. Karak would have purged the site. Word of the raid hit the stars as fast as the psyops. Keth Sura stood in the Enclave's comm shack, his mediator's robes dusted with ash, patching a secure line to orbiting neutral relays. Compact observers, this is Envoy Sura. Request safe conduct protocols for defectors. 3 frigates inbound, officers willing to testify on raiding chains. Vance's voice cut through, crisp. Approved. Coordinates relayed. Rook's team will escort groundside handoff. The first defector shuttle touched down under Rook's wary guns. Subcommander Veth emerging with raised claws, his Lyrex second clutching a data slate of coordinates. We saw the graves, Veth graded. Mandibles clicking. Your evidence. It spreads. Raids must end. Keth facilitated, his voice bridging the gulf. Human discipline meeting alien pragmatism. Rook nodded to Veth, offering a ration bar despite the squad's low stocks. Eat. Then talk infrastructure. Veth hesitated, then accepted. A flicker of something like trust in his compound eyes. For the first time, enemies spoke as potential allies, maps unrolling to choke the Dominion's terror veins. Kale's war room thrummed with fury contained, his frills fully flared as reports cascaded. Auxiliaries defecting, blockades ironclad, PIOPs eroding his flanks. They refused terms. He snarled to his remnant admirals, holographic fleets dwindling to desperate spearheads. Humans play at law while starving us. But one strike overwhelmed their command nexus. Vanguard leads, all guns committed. His second protested. War Master. Reserves are gone. Phase 2 has us predicted. Kale's claw slammed down. Fear wins. They hesitate. We do not. The bargain lingered in tight beam bursts even as the knife sharpened. Partial withdrawals dangled anew, intermediaries pleading, while strike groups massed in the outer dark. Vance watched the holotank bloom, with inbound signatures, her crews snapping to stations despite fractures and fatigue. All hands battle stations. They've bet the house. Nereth grinned grimly, cracking knuckles over targeting arrays. Let 'em come, ma'am. We've got the math. Rook's platoon hunkered in the Enclave, fresh defectors' intel lighting up their paths. Raid nests plotted, tribunals queued. Keth stood beside him. Tendrils calm now. Your people turn foes to witnesses. Karak cannot match this resilience. Rook shrugged, checking Ruiz's bandage. Just doing the job, Envoy. One step at a time. But the void lit with drive flares. Kale's gamble inbound, defeats shadow sharpening to a blade. Vance's voice echoed fleet-wide. Hold discipline. Win lawful. The noose held, inexorable, as the storm broke. Keth watched the skies ignite from the surface, his slate logging it all for the compact. Humans, unyielding, weaving law into war's fabric. Veth, at his side, muttered, They outplan us, outlast. Respect crept in, cold and certain. Up flag, Hale nursed his eyes, plotting intercepts. Cost mounted, ships scarred, squads bloodied, but will endured. Phase 2 ground on. Kale's fleet plunged forward, bargain forgotten, knife bared. Yet in the human response, no rage, only the quiet fury of professionals closing the trap. Commodore Mara Vance gripped the armrests of her command chair, eyes locked on the holographic swarm as Kale's armada barreled into the decoy cluster. Execute phantom shift. Now, she ordered, voice level amid the bridge's controlled hum. Ghost drones ignited false signatures, blooming like a second fleet while her real battle group slipped through the electronic fog, pre-positioned railguns charging in the shadow of asteroid killboxes. War Master Jurin Kale's flagship shuddered as targeting locks fragmented across his tactical display. "What sorcery is this?" he snarled, mandibles clicking in fury. His sensor chief stammered, "Contacts multiplying, impossible resolution." Kale slammed a claw down, "Purge the illusions. All batteries full salvos on the core formation," but the Karok dreadnoughts fired blind, shredding empty hulls while Vance's carriers unleashed fighter wings, sleek human birds weaving through the debris like they'd trained for this exact chaos. Vance watched the returns, her logistics feeds green across the board. Supply shuttles had cycled ammo and fuel pallets overnight, human crews enduring 18-hour shifts without a murmur, stacking munitions by hand when loaders jammed. "Sustained fire tempo," she said. "Logistics confirms full resupply on vectors Bravo and Delta." Her staff officers nodded, multitasking damage reports with jump calculations. No panic in the rhythm. Kale's forces, built for blitz conquests, faltered first. Ammo trains severed, engines overheating from sustained burns no Karok physiology could match. Explosions rippled through the Dominion van, corvettes crumpling under massed rail fire from hidden human pickets. Kale's bridge alarms wailed as a cruiser convoy vaporized in a kill zone, the trap's jaws snapping shut. "Regroup the flanks," he bellowed, but coherence shattered. Chasing phantoms while Vance's heavies pressed the advantage, their point defense grids multitasking anti-fighter and missile intercepts with eerie precision. Human pattern recognition shown here, pilots linking debris fields to spoof enemy sensors, turning junk into shields. Kale felt the collapse in his gut, a cold certainty as kill tallies flipped. Humans didn't rage. They methodically dismantled his tempo, outproducing him 2-1 on ordnance. Flagship to all ships. Hold the line. But holds broke. Attrition ground his armada down. Carriers adrift, crews suffocating in hull breaches. Vance's voice cut through open channels, calm as a logistics audit. "Dominion forces, this is un-SV endurance. Power down weapons. Surrender is authorized." On the battered assault shuttle knifing toward Kale's flagship, Staff Sergeant Elias Rook braced against G-forces, his platoon checking mags and breaching charges. 2 minutes to hard dock, the pilot called. Rook nodded, wiping sweat from his brow. 36 hours without real sleep, but his mind stayed sharp, reciting entry points from hacked schematics. Fire Team Alpha on data core. Bravo secures engineering. No scuttling. We take prisoners alive. Rules hold. The shuttle latched with a bone-jarring clang, charges blooming airlocks. Rook led the breach, shotgun barking controlled bursts into the first Karok defenders. "Contact left." His boot slammed a kitten-plated warrior aside, non-lethal round to the joint. Discipline over vengeance, even as plasma scorched his pauldron. Casualties mounted quick. Private Lena Torres caught a burst, crumpling with a gut shot. Rook dragged her behind cover, slapping a seal on the wound while barking fire directions. "Oppress and advance." They pushed deck by deck, humans adapting on the fly. Rook spotting a service vent pattern from civilian ship layouts, improvising a flank. Karok boarders fell back, stunned by the unrelenting advance. These soft-skinned primates multitask suppression fire with medevac, forming bonds mid-fight, slapping shoulders over shared rations. Rook's platoon breached the core vault, grenades stunning guards. "Data core secured, initiate lockdown protocol." Engineers jury-rigged overrides, fingers flying across alien interfaces they'd cracked en route. Kyle met them there, flanked by his last elites, blade drawn. "You primitives dare board my throne?" Rook leveled his weapon, voice steady. "War Master, stand down. Your crews are surrendering sector-wide. We end this lawful." Elite lunged. Rook sidestepped, baton-cracking helmet, then hauled the stunned Karok upright. KL hesitated, mandibles twitching at the human's unflinching eyes. No hate, just resolve. Explosions rocked the ship as scuttle charges armed. Rook's demo team diffused them under fire, losing Corporal Hale to a feedback blast. "Core safe. Bridge crew. You're under arrest. Medical incoming." Envoy Keth Sura floated in zeros near the surrender bays, multi-lens recorder capturing it all for the compact archives. Human medics swarmed the bays, treating Karok wounded with hyposprays calibrated on the fly. No triage by allegiance. A corpsman knelt by a Dominion gunner, mandibles crushed, injecting regen gel while murmuring, "Easy, big guy, breathe through it." Keth's frills quivered in disbelief. Karok physiology resisted most xenomedicine, yet these humans adapted mid-procedure, cross-referencing field manuals. War crimes detainees. Kyle's inner circle, verified by atrocity logs, were segregated into secure holds, mag-cuffed but unharmed, bound for tribunals. Keth approached a human surgeon patching a surrendering pilot. "You treat them after the refuge massacres?" The medic glanced up, humble fatigue in his eyes. "Rules of war don't pause for grudges, Envoy. They get justice, not revenge." Keth's recorder whirred, logging the quiet efficiency. Humans bonding with alien pals over shared stim packs, cracking grim jokes about universal headaches. From Endurance's CIC, Vance broadcast the terms. To surviving Dominion Command, demilitarize all border corridors within 72 hours. Full restitution to refuge worlds. Resources, rebuild crews. No exceptions. Governance reforms under compact monitoring. No expansionist doctrines. Refusal means resumption. Acceptance means trade resumes. Her staff cross-checked manifests, ensuring no collective punishment. Karak civilians tagged for aid drops, not reprisals. Kale, in cuffs aboard a transport shuttle, stared at the hololink. His fleet remnants signaled compliance, hulls powering down across the system. "You win by forgiveness?" Vance met his gaze. "We fight to end wars, War Master, not prolong them." He clicked assent, the giant humbled, not by fury but inexorable professionalism. Keth transmitted the full record to the compact, humans sustaining impossible tempos, boarding under fire with minimal excess force, terms firm yet merciful. Alien analysts pored over it, frills and crests flaring in waves of re-evaluation. "They outplanned us," one murmured. "Endured what breaks us, and forgave to seal peace." The lesson rippled outward. Provoke the traitors at peril, for they return to commerce only after proving they can enforce it. Rook slumped against a bulkhead post-debrief, Lena stable in medbay, Hale's tag heavy in his pocket. Vance's voice echoed fleet-wide. "Stand down secured. Good work. No boasts. Just professionals. Costs tallied. Ready for the long haul home." The galaxy watched, learning the final rule. Never wake the sleeping giant unless ready to be forgiven afterward.